Hey guys, it is Marco of Spyros Bros, and today will be a dedicated tutorial on whip catches and the Genos, which are both known as the no-scopes. And today's video will actually be a remake on the whip catch and the Geno, which are both also known as the no-scopes, hence the name given by you guys. And for this tutorial, we'll be using our own new signature pro model Diablo and our signature triple bearing starter Diabolo. You can get one by clicking the link in our description. In this tutorial, we'll be teaching the various ways of how to do a whip catch and a Geno. That also includes Vertex whip catches, Vertex Genos, and even under whip catches. All these Diablo tricks, from the most simplest to the most complex, do correlate with each other in words of following through and whipful force motions. Quick disclaimer, please choose a surface that is softer like grass, mulch, or better yet, soft matted floor before practicing any tricks with the Pro or Master set Diablos. They can easily break when dropped or hit on hard floor. We won't be responsible for any equipment damages. Let's start off with the basic whip catch. Before attempting any whip catches, you never want to have the string curled up like this. This is the way how to straighten your strings to make it much smoother and so that whip catches will be much easier. To begin learning the whip catch, I recommend you practice it by whipping the Diablo into your strings while holding it in your hands. You will get to understand better where to whip the Diablo and how to hold the sticks while whip catching. This will help you realize that a wide V-shaped handling of the sticks will ensure your strings to whip into the Diabolo. Never have your sticks closed or too close to each other, as the string will only make contact but won't let the Diabolo enter. Distance of the Diablo from you when doing the whip is also important. Just thrown at arm length away from your chest is ideal. And eventually, when getting a good idea of whipping the strings around your Diablo, you can even throw the Diablo slightly in the air and then whip it with the same motion. Now on to full execution. First, we will do a hand stall. Transfer both sticks to your dominant hand. Then grab this part of the string with your other hand. Stretch out your strings and sticks apart this wide. Maybe the closer the strings are together, the better. You will hop the Diablo onto the top of this part of the string here so that it lands in this formation. Turn your body 1/4 to your left, for lefties to your right, then use the same motion when practicing the whip catch and you should have landed the whip catch. Here's a recap of how to do the whip catch in POV. First, put both sticks in your dominant hand. Make sure you leave plenty of space in your sticks for the whip. That's very important. Next, with your other hand, grab this part of your string, then gently toss the Diablo onto the string like this. Turn your body 90 degrees to the left, toss the Diablo straight up, then whip downwards towards the Diablo. Before we continue, we need to know some terminology. On a Diablo, there are 2 cups and 1 bearing. When whipping, you want to focus on the bearing while catching it on the right cup. Make sure your left stick lines up with the bearing. If you accidentally whip the wrong side of the Diablo, you can still catch it, but the Diablo will end up tangled, making it harder to exit the trick. Some of the most common mistakes are 1. Not leaving a big enough gap in between the sticks to whip. 2. Not tossing the Diablo with enough space for you to whip. And if you are hitting the stick with your Diablo, back up or toss the Diablo a little more forward. Now, if you want to have a safer way of landing the whip catch, then you can do what I like to call a cheat whip. This starts off from a golden finger, preferably with your non-dominant fingers. It can be done the other way too. While the Diablo is spinning on your fingers, remember the whipping drill that we did in the beginning and apply it to this. And eventually you should toss up the Diablo from your golden finger and do a real whip catch. That is the cheat whip. Here are ways how you can follow through with the power of your whip. Another disclaimer, no scope tricks in this tutorial get more dangerous as the tricks level up. Please practice with caution and care and take your time. Practice at your own risk. You won't be responsible for any accidents that may occur. Reverse whip catch is the same whip catch, but you are whipping the Diablo at your dominant side. Here's the best way to gradually get into the reverse whip catch. Hold the Diabolo and whip the strings around the Diabolo the same way we did in our first drill. Next, bring it closer to the center of your body and whip the Diabolo from that point. Once you get good with that, bring it to your dominant side and whip it the same way, and the motion should end up like this. Keep practicing this, and once you get good with it, we can start going for the full trick. First, get into your hand stall. Next, bring the strings and Diabolo over your arm, ending up like this. What you will do next is release your strings to let the Diabolo free fall. Once you release the strings, you will have to whip the strings around the Diabolo in the same motion we did in the practice. The Diabolo will fall pretty fast, so you have to be quick with the execution. But you can also toss the Diabolo slightly up as you're releasing your strings for assurance in catching the Diabolo. Having it too low and having it towards the center is going to make it harder to land the trick. Either one of these ways to do reverse whip catch is good. For under whip snatch, it will be the same motion as reverse whip catch but without the free fall effect. It's simple as a hand stall, toss it up in the air, and whipping the Diabolo at your dominant side. But here's the difference. You can't execute this whip with the traditional whipping motion. You will need a circular flow whip like this, which softens the force of the snatch. And remember the reverse whipping drill we did. Do it normally, more towards the center, and then you'll eventually be able to execute at your dominant side. It will all be the same motion, but with the new circular flow whipping motion. That's why in the beginning, toss it lower so your eyes can be above the Diabolo. Keep practicing this, and when you get good, you can throw it higher or even put multiple whip swings before snatching. Cheat Geno is one of the easiest tricks to get familiarized with the motion and basic feelings of landing the Geno. Here's how to do the Cheat Geno. First, do a Swiss side, then stop the stick by blocking it with your leg or wrapping it so that you can swing it the other way. Swing the stick around at least twice before hopping the Diabolo out. Hop the Diabolo out once your stick is swung under. Hop the Diabolo to your dominant side and swing the string and stick at the Diabolo axle and catch the stick as it wraps around. Avoid hopping the Diabolo just straight up or worse to your non-dominant side. Just remember, this trick requires lots of practice and experimenting to get good with this trick, so keep it up. Now on to the full Geno. This is where we use the entire string and just one stick to control the swing, with the goal of catching the Diabolo. Could be done on your other side too.
First, let's get lots of spin on the Diabolo. To do the lift, turn your non-dominant stick to be perpendicular to the Diabolo. Then swing your Diabolo from your non-dominant side to your dominant side, then lift upwards. Let go of the non-dominant stick when your Diabolo reaches this position. Then with your dominant hand, lift with your stick. A lot of common mistakes are in the lift, such as letting go too late, letting go way too early and not even lifting up enough, or not having enough momentum to lift in the first place. Now on to the catch. When you catch, focus on your string towards the Diabolo bearing. You want to catch the Diabolo on this part of the string, that way you have more room for your hand to catch the other side of the string. Once you catch it on your string, make sure the stick loops around the Diabolo like this. When exiting the trick, you want to catch the string and not the stick. Well, you can try catching the stick, but it will hurt your hand. Once you catch the stick, cross your sticks and unloop like this.
And here are other ways to execute the full Geno. On to Vertex tricks. Of course, I will recommend that you get good with Vertex spinning and the fundamentals first, but you won't necessarily have to be good with Vertex spinning to attempt any of these tricks, as each of these tricks will just involve tilting the Diabolo and then executing the trick right away, and stopping the Diabolo with a post. But for the Vertex Genos, you must learn how to do Vertex stalls and stopovers before executing the trick. Vertex Golden Finger Cheat Whip is one of the easiest ways to learn Vertex Whip Catch. Use every step and tip we use to master the whip catch. But first, let's review on how to do the Vertex Golden Finger.
Just get medium spin on your Diablo when first doing this trick. Do your golden finger, but this time use these part of your fingers to do the golden finger. Those will be used to tilt the Diablo axis. Move the middle finger outward slowly, and the Diablo should start tilting and go into Vertex Golden Finger. Hold it there for a while. Important pointer, do not use any part of the finger deeper, and do not spin the Diablo too hard for this trick, because the Diablo axle can hurt or burn your fingers when trying to tilt it.
Once the Diablo is steady at Vertex position, do a horizontal cheat whip around the axle and then let go of the Diablo as you spin your body towards your dominant side and stop the Diablo with your hand whenever you like. For Vertex Whip Catch, just throw the Diablo slightly up and then whip the Diablo in mid-air. Just make sure you follow through on your whip. Whip the Diablo as you had to whip 3 or more Diablos after it. Not following through will cause you to miss easily. You can also practice the Vertex Whip with the Diablo at a 45-degree angle too. You can also do the Vertex Whip Catch from a gyroscopic flop. Do a gyroscopic flop once it's tilted to perfect vertex. Unloop the Diablo with your hands and keep turning towards your dominant side. After one full rotation, you can toss the Diablo slightly up and whip catch the Diablo. And that's how you do the Vertex Whip Catch. Vertex Geno is much more advanced, but it can be landed if you take your time and follow all these steps carefully. Let's learn how to tilt the Diablo into Vertex and do the stopovers first.
Follow the outside of your Diablo cup here like if it were a clock. Righties will lay the stick at 3 o'clock, lefties will do it at 9 o'clock. Once you got that down, grind the stick at that part of the Diablo for it to tilt vertically. It is time to learn how to transition into a trick by doing Diablo stalls, also known as the stopovers. It is best if you have learned how to do stalls normally on Diablo. Keep practicing the motion of stalling your Diablo like this. If this stall method is too hard at first, you can do a trap piece to serve as your stopover instead. If you want to do the regular stall, grip your stick harder at the point where you want the Diablo to pause, while swing the Diablo out to your non-dominant side as far as you can to prevent the Diablo from coming around the stick. Both of these stall methods will serve as a motion and technique to do stalls and going back to the accelerations on Vertex. When you have that down, try doing both stalls on semi-Vertex like this.
Now we can execute the trick. After the tilting of the Vertex and the stopover, let go of your stick on your non-dominant hand. You should see the Diablo free from the string while your stick and string swings above you once. You should see the Diablo free from the string while your stick and string swings above your head once. Then you will want to catch the Diablo with the swung stick and string. Once it's caught, let the string loop around the Diablo once and then finally catch the string or stick to end the trick. Remember how you do the Geno. It's the same motion, but horizontally. I would suggest before you toss the Diablo out, have your non-dominant hand closer to the Diablo so that the release is much easier. Releasing your stick and your Diablo while the Diablo is in the center of your string won't be good since the Diablo will naturally be forced towards your body and the Vertex Geno won't look clear. Same as the whip catch, really follow through with your swing at the Diablo axle for the Vertex Geno. Lack of follow-through will make you miss. At first, I suggest you swing at the Diablo with power like this, even if it means multiple loops around the Diablo. Just be extra cautious and careful so you don't hit yourself. After many loops, you can catch the string and stick anytime when it feels safe to end the trick and pose. For multiple whip swings and Geno swings on Vertex, the only thing you need to achieve these is a lot more solid practice on every trick using every tip we mentioned earlier, and will require much more following through and power. These are all the tricks and ways to start your no-scope journey. Just remember to be careful and most importantly, have fun.